Could you use some non-religious spiritual practices that could really make a difference in your life? Here are 4 that you might not have thought of. I'm Reverend Dr. Brent Hawks, a retired senior pastor. Historically, there have been some spiritual practices like Bible study, prayer, worship, traditional things. But spiritual practices are now being redefined to be more relevant, to be more effective for people today. Things like gardening and exercise. But we'll say more about those in a future video. How do you turn those kinds of ordinary things into spiritual practices? But for this particular video, I want to focus on 4 unusual spiritual practices that I think can be very effective. But remember, a spiritual practice only can become effective if you practice it on a regular basis. So the first spiritual practice is the practice of slowing. A wise person was once asked by one of their students, "What must I do to be spiritually healthy?" The wise person answered, "You must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life." The student followed up, "What else?" And the wise person said, "There is nothing else." So how do you practice slowing? Well, you begin by really slowing with good sleep. 100 years ago, people averaged 9.5 hours sleep a night. We average a lot less now, and we're constantly tired. So making sure that you get good rest. Also, don't jump into the fast lane of life, but choose the slow lane. Slow your life down. Don't worry about multitasking. Often it doesn't save you time, and it really clutters up your mind. And so practice slowing down. Choose solitude. Find deliberate times and spaces where you can just be by yourself without anything on the agenda. The second spiritual practice is the practice of helping others. And here we begin by looking at the mundane things of life. How can those average, everyday activities be ways that you can be of service to others? How can you allow yourself to be interrupted when someone else has a need or a question without getting irritated? Embrace your own weaknesses and your own limitations, leading to more humility in your own life. And try holding your tongue, speaking less, and really listening more. And finally, in this one, I would suggest try giving more anonymous gifts so there's no expectation of payback, but just of service to others. The third spiritual practice is the practice of confession. We do this by practicing self-examination, constantly asking yourself, how can I change? How can I do things differently? How can I say I'm sorry more often? The fourth and final spiritual practice for today is the practice of celebration. C.S. Lewis said, "Joy is the serious business of heaven." And the Bible constantly says things like rejoice always, therefore putting joy in the non-optional category. So in order to practice celebration, recognize those small accomplishments in your life, those large accomplishments in your life, and give yourself a pat on the back. Celebrate the feast days more. You know, there are some very typical ones in different religious traditions or social situations, but there are also some especially new high holy days in the LGBT community. Things like the Academy Awards or Pride Day or Halloween. Also, celebrate every day as a new start. Spend time with joyful people, it rubs off, and encourage one another. So whether you're planning a new year or a new month, think about developing your own spiritual practices. And if there are other spiritual practices that work for you, let us know by emailing us to the email listed in the description below. So if you found this video helpful, please share it with your friends. And also don't forget to subscribe. And if you click on that little bell button beside the subscription button, then you'll be able to get a notice when we post a new video. Thank you.